Welcome back to Andersen Acres. It's dark, it's freezing cold, so we're in the house today. When people imagine homesteading, they often picture a garden bursting with vegetables and jars of preserves cooling on the counter, maybe a clothesline waving in the breeze. But the heart of a homestead, the true rhythm keepers of the land, are the animals who live on it, like autumn. Animals aren't just cute background scenery or occasional sources of eggs, milk, and meat. They shape the land, shape the workflow, shape the seasons, and shape the very identity of a homesteading life. Today, I want to sit down and talk about the deep, meaningful, and often surprising role animals play in a working homestead. Because here at Andersen Acres, they're not just part of the farm, they are the farm. Every animal, no matter how big or small, has a job, even if that job is simply existing in a way that contributes to the overall system. Chickens scratch through fallen leaves and bedding, breaking down compost and hunting pests. Ducks patrol wet areas and devour slugs like they're being paid by the hour. Goats clear brush faster than any piece of machinery I could afford. And rabbits provide manure that's garden gold. Even the cats contribute by keeping rodents at bay, and the dogs guard the entire property with a seriousness that says, "Not today, coyotes." On a homestead, everyone has a role, and when you learn what each animal naturally excels at, you stop owning animals and start partnering with the nature they already bring. One of the most interesting things about homesteading is that your animals teach you how to see your land. A pasture doesn't just become grass. It becomes a buffet that changes flavor depending on the season. A patch of scrub isn't just a nuisance. It's a goat's playground and brush clearing service area. A muddy section of yard becomes the duck's personal spa day. When you live with animals long enough, you stop looking at the land as something to control and start seeing it as something you're in a relationship with. Animals are the mediators in that relationship. They show you what the land can do, what it needs help with, and what it wants to become. And speaking of relationships, animals redefine your time. You can't operate on a whenever I feel like schedule. Animals wake up when they wake up. They need feeding whether it's sunny or sleeting sideways. They want clean water even if the hose froze and the bucket cracked and you questioned every life choice that brought you to that moment. You still gotta get the water. Their needs anchor the day, giving homesteading its structure. In a world where everything moves too fast and is a little too flexible, animals insist you slow down and show up. And honestly, that structure is often what makes farm life feel grounded and meaningful, because there is that structure throughout the day. We do have to do it. Animals also change how you think about resources. Feed isn't a number on a spreadsheet. It's the fuel that powers your whole homestead system. Bedding isn't just fluff. It's the start of compost, which becomes soil, which becomes food, which becomes a cycle that repeats. Manure goes from being waste to being one of the most valuable things on the property. You begin to understand the elegant loop of creation, consumption, and renewal, and animals are at the very center of that loop. Everything they give, from eggs to milk to compost to companionship, becomes a part of the larger whole. And then there's the emotional side, the part nobody tells you about until you're knee deep in it. Animals shift the tone of a homestead. Without them, a homestead is just a property with chores. With them, it's alive. It's a place with stories, a place with characters, a place where every morning starts with someone braying or quacking or crowing or demanding snacks. It's a place where you laugh more, worry more, and feel more connected, not just to the animals themselves, but to life. And yes, occasionally one of those characters chews through something expensive or escapes under a fence they absolutely weren't supposed to be able to fit under, or lays an egg in a location that requires a treasure map to find. But that's part of the homestead heartbeat. Animals also shape your skills. People think homesteaders are experts because they know a lot about many things. But the truth is, animals force you to learn whether you like it or not. You learn basic vet care because someone always decides to limp at 9 p.m. and you can't get a hold of anyone. You learn fencing because someone always tests the boundaries and the goats are running amok in the neighbor's field again. You learn to read body language because animals don't speak in words, but they do speak loudly. You learn observation, patience, and problem solving, and sometimes improvisation with whatever's within arm's reach. Appropriately chaotic farm energy is a transferable skill at this point. It's all a skill. Animals affect your seasons too. Spring isn't just spring. It's kidding season, lambing season, chick season, mud season. We all know I hate mud. Summer is for grazing and watering and fly management and the laneway of shade everyone rushes towards. Fall is harvest, worming schedules, and prepping shelters before winter storms roll in. And winter's survival mode, keeping waters thawed, keeping bedding dry, and keeping morale high for the animals and the humans. The calendar isn't built around months anymore. It's built around living beings and what they need. Most importantly, animals bring purpose to a homesteading lifestyle. They give you a reason to step outside every day, even when you don't feel like it. They remind you that your presence matters. They remind you that simple actions, feeding and watering, caring, giving attention, these ripple outward into a whole ecosystem. They remind you that stewardship is not a concept, it's a daily practice. And they reward you with things that extend far beyond the practical. Yes, eggs and milk and manure are wonderful, and they're useful. But so are the quiet mornings with a warm goat leaning against your leg, or the ducks greeting you like you've returned from a war, or the dog making rounds like the king of the property. In those moments, the homestead feels like a living story. And really, you're just lucky enough to be a character in it. Animals play the starring role in a homesteading life, not because they produce something, though they often do, but because they transform the land, the routine, the environment, and even the homesteader. They give homesteading its shape, its rhythm, and its soul. Without animals, Andersen Acres wouldn't be Andersen Acres. It would just be land. But with the animals, with all their noise and their chaos and their personality and their gifts, it becomes a home, a living, breathing home. Well, that's about it for me here today at Andersen Acres. If you've got animals on your own homestead, or if you're dreaming of adding some, I'd love to hear which ones speak to you the most. Ducks or chickens, maybe the goats? Something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. We'll see you tomorrow.